Weimar Republic 1924 to 1929. Weimar economy. Stresemann was made Chancellor in 1923 and was also the finance minister. He had three economic solutions to try and repair the German economy after previous Chancellor's failure. Kuno. Stresemann's three economic solutions. Stresemann made international agreements. This was to try and regain trust. Germany signed the Locarno Treaty agreeing borders with France and UK. Germany was also accepted into the League of Nations in 1926. They also signed the Kellogg-Briand Pact against using force to achieve its aims. The Rentenmark. Stresemann's finance minister Luther introduced a new currency, the Rentenmark. This was to replace the old German mark. Printing of the German mark was strictly controlled. A new Rentenbank was set up to manage the new currency. Stresemann ended passive resistance as it has failed. It led to hyperinflation and crippled the government's money. It angered the French and was prolonging the Ruhr occupation. The Germans also started repaying reparations in the hope for the French to leave the Ruhr. The French also set up a commission to investigate problems with paying reparations. The government sacked 700,000 people in hope to balance payment budgets. It established the economy again and ended hyperinflation, providing stability in the economy. Having to abandon the previous mark meant that people lost their savings. They blamed the Weimar for this. The middle class was deeply affected by this. They would not invest in future, which led to an overall reliance on US loans. The Dawes Plan 1924. The German government was given 800 million marks in US loans. They were given longer terms to pay reparations and the amount was temporarily reduced until 1929. The French left the Ruhr and Germany was able to reinvest in new factories, railways and roads. This led to the German economy to stabilise and employment slowly increase. But it made Germany very dependent on American loans. Some people saw it as the best way to recover the German economy and recover it politically to an extent, whereas others saw paying reparations again was unnecessary. This issue split many parties. The Young Plan 1929. As the reparations were going to be full price again due to the Dawes Plan, they set up the Young Plan to try and agree a way forward. It reduced reparations permanently and gave them longer payment terms to pay off reparations. This also got the French to give Germany back the Rhineland 5 years ahead of when it was supposed to. Successful economic recovery. The Rentenmark established the economy again and ended hyperinflation, providing stability in the economy. The Dawes Plan mainly relied on foreign loans, up to 25 billion marks. This allowed Germany to invest in rebuilding its economy and also allowed them to begin paying reparations again. Germany managed to attract several foreign companies to invest in Germany's factories, such as Ford and Gillette. This led to exports to rise over 40%. Huge businesses did well and hourly wages rose between 5% to 10%. The increase in cars and cinema led to signs of prosperity. Reparations reduced considerably. Even though it was only temporarily, it had a big effect. Industrial production soon overtook the levels of that what it was before the war. Stresemann also created the Grand Coalition. This consisted of a range of pro-Weimar parties including the SPD, Left Wing, Centre Party, the DVP and the German People's Party. This gave a sense of political stability and reduced number of supporters of the Nazis and Communists. Stresemann also created the Weimar Golden Age, which had a surge in cinema, music, art and literature, and even architecture, most notably the cabaret. Failed economic recovery. The introduction of the Rentenmark meant having to abandon the previous mark. This meant that the people lost all their savings. They blamed the Weimar for this. The middle class was deeply affected by this. They would not invest in the future, which led to an overall reliance on US loans. Germany depended a lot on foreign loans. This was alright until the Wall Street crash in 1929. Unemployment was still high even with the economic improvement. Businessmen struggled and so did people who relied on agriculture. There was industrial instability. The trade unions and SPD had introduced major reforms which won the workers better working conditions and fewer hours. Employers resented these conditions and this caused tensions. Even though the Dawes plans temporarily reduced reparations, Germany still found it hard to pay them. Even after the Young Plan in 1929, the amount was still high. Germany was now beginning to drown itself in debt with loans, and if the country asked for their money back, Germany's economy would cripple. Stresemann knew about the dangers of the loans and what they would cause. Stresemann himself said, "Germany in fact is dancing on a volcano."